Welcome to the GCN Tech Show.
Coming up this week, we've got new bikes, we've got an update on the Shimano cranks, we've got comments of the week and the bike fault.
Plus, our main talking point this week, should you fly with your bike or rent one at your destination? This week, we're talking about should you fly or travel with your bike or rent one at your destination.
Yeah, Ollie has just got back from his Hollybobs in Mallorca where he had a great time, but winter is fast approaching here in the Northern Hemisphere and many of us will be looking for that winter sun, especially if you live in the UK. But before we get onto our main talking point, Ollie just wanted to share some of his holiday snaps with you.
No, I didn't.
He did?
You didn't tell me about this.
Oh, looks like you had a lovely time.
I did. I had a great time. And I actually realised I've been travelling to Mallorca with my bike for 12 years now. And the first few times I went actually predate Strava, or me being on Strava, which,
really? Throwback.
Well, some people would question if they actually ever happened at all.
Well, that is a great question, because if it's not on Strava, it didn't happen.
Yeah, but in all those 12 years, I've always flown with my bike every time I've gone there. And whilst it wasn't just holiday, before that we were doing some filming and making some videos. And we spoke to a lot of people out there who were riding very nice bikes. And we were surprised to find out that around 90% of the people we spoke to were actually renting bikes.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't think it'd be that high.
Yeah, so here's, what some of them had to say.
I am in love with my own bike and I've spent a lot of money on this bike and a lot of love has gone into it.
My own bike is not that good. Gearing ratio is 34 at the back, which helps with the big climbs.
It wasn't my bike fit. I had a bit of shoulder ache, neck ache, so this year I thought I'd bring my own bike.
So 4 years ago I came with a couple of friends who'd been before, rented a road bike. I didn't have a road bike at home and it was a total game changer for me. So since then I absolutely fell in love with cycling. Went home, got myself a road bike and I've been coming back every year since.
Cheaper to rent a bike here than to transport it from Germany.
It's just easier. We haven't had to muck about, and also we don't have to put the bike back together again when we take it out of the box, which I think probably would be the main stumbling block.
The logistics of getting a bike box, packing it up, the risk of damage to the bike, getting it at the other end and doing the same in reverse. It's far outweighed by spending a few bob and getting a hire bike, and probably a bike that's possibly in some circumstances better spec than the bike you've got.
Mallorca is a great place to rent bikes. Having said that, I am going to buy a bike box and bring my bike over from New Zealand next time we come to Mallorca. The back brake is broken and the front one squeaks lots, and my bike is well tuned and you just get used to it and very comfortable with your own tools.
That is a really big surprise to me, because I really didn't think it would be that many people, but it's really good to know. And I guess, well, we've just been in a bit of a bubble, haven't we, of having always flown with our bikes and not knowing any different, really.
Yeah, and the people that we travel with tend to always fly with their bikes. Yeah, so definitely a bubble. And it's clear from speaking to these people and seeing this that most people aren't doing that. And for me, one of the really interesting points is that thing of a lot of people saying they can rent a bike that's better than the one that they have at home, which is, like a luxury and a cool thing. I mean, you can rent some seriously nice bikes out there, like things like top-end Pinarellos.
Yeah, that'd be a bit of a treat when you go on holiday, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But even when I was going to Mallorca like 10 years ago training, there just wasn't as many rental shops as there are now. You go there now and they are just all over the island.
Yeah, not even in the hot spots. I think there are some downsides to rental bikes, though. And, one of the things is that even on the top-end ones with Gore Ace Di2 on them, you very rarely are going to get a bike with a power meter on, and to some people that's something that they want. Although, I did spot quite a lot of people on rental bikes with power meter pedals.
Yes, yeah.
So they brought their own power meter pedals and put them on the bike. A group of guys I was riding with were doing that, a lot of them using Asioma pedals.
That's a good
idea. Which is a good sort of strategy to get around that.
One downside I can think of is having a rental bike and the brakes the wrong way around.
Yes, although
could end badly.
Well, they do. They cater for that as well.
Oh, that's
so
good.
you can get them bikes set up either Euro or Moto style.
That's good.
Brakes.
So we thought we would tot up the prices of renting a bike versus taking your own when going away.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to hire a Pinarello, if you're going to hire
Porta Palenza.
in Portapanza. If you're going to hire the Pinarello Prince with Ultegra Di2, that'd be 51 quid a day. Or you could go for the Pinarello F12, which is probably the best of the best, isn't it? 105 quid a day.
Yeah.
But then if you wanted to hire it for maybe 6 days, the prints would be 300 quid and the F12 would be 600 quid.
Okay.
And then versus taking your own bike. First of all, you're going to need a bike box. So these vary in prices depending on what one you get. You could get kind of the cheaper end ones, which can range from around 370 quid, or if you wanted to get the top of the range one, it could be around 600 quid.
Yeah, I've seen ones even fancy hard cases, even more than that.
Yeah,
there's a big range in prices.
But you can hire them as well, and you can hire them for around 40 quid a week, which I think is quite reasonable, actually.
Yeah.
And then you have to factor in taking the bike box on the plane, and that can range from around 50 to 70 quid, and that's probably flying in Europe. If you're going long haul, it's probably going to be a lot more expensive than that. And then other things to factor in.
That's each way, though. 50,
Yes,
70 quid each way, usually.
yeah.
I think like EasyJet's about 70 now, each way, yeah.
And then you're going to have to factor in, you're going to need a bigger taxi to take the bike box. You might even need a van, so they can be quite expensive.
Yeah, so your transfers go up a bit, don't they? But not by much, like, say, maybe, what should we say, like 20 quid surcharge?
Probably, yeah.
On top of that, what you'd normally pay, yeah.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of things to factor in.
Yeah, I think, but overall, even, just thinking about those numbers adding up in the head, overall, it's coming out that taking your own bike is cheaper than renting one, especially if you're someone who travels quite a bit, or if you rent a bike box. But even if you incurred that relatively huge cost of buying a bike box, if you're someone who travels a lot, it makes economic sense. If you're flying with your bike twice a year for several years, the bike box pays for itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, you can always, they tend to last, so you can always, if you get a good one, so you can always sell it if you're no longer using it. But I think there's a few areas where, say, if you were maybe travelling just for a weekend, it might be much more cost effective to just rent a bike if you're just going somewhere nice for a weekend.
Or if you're going on a family holiday and you're going to have 1 or 2 days to go out and ride a bike,
good point,
you might want to just hire one instead of lugging everything out.
Yeah, well, that's a good point as well, because in fact it's like your hire car. That's not something we haven't mentioned, but when you're hiring a vehicle, if you're going to be, as a lot of people do get a hire car on holiday, you need a hire car that can fit a bike box in it.
Yeah, we have quite a lot of trouble when it comes to hire cars.
Because often we need to, when we hire a car when we go to destination, we need a hire car that can fit more than one bike box in it.
And more than one person as well.
And that becomes a lot more expensive and logistically more difficult. So,
yes, definitely.
And there's loads of other advantages to having your own bike for certain people. Like, if you had a bike fit and you want your fit to be absolutely spot on. Things like your saddle is very personal. Well, you could take your saddle with you if you wanted and put that on a rental bike. But other things like, tyres. I was looking at what tyres were on rental bikes, and there was a lot of very nice rental bikes that had pretty naff tyres.
It doesn't. I don't know how much these bikes get ridden and how well maintained they are.
Oh, you're not getting a wax chain.
Wouldn't be good enough for you then, would it, Ollie? You wouldn't be able to hack it on a rental bike. Yeah. But another thing is kind of the convenience of it as well.
Yeah, huge.
A lot of people aren't comfortable with, disassembling their bike, taking their integrated handlebars off. I mean, if you aren't comfortable with it, well, we've got plenty of videos on the GCN Tech channel, so make sure you subscribe, and our GCN maintenance book as well. And you actually did a video before you went out to Mallorca on packing a bike, didn't you?
And how not to ruin your bike. Did, yeah. The crazy thing is I've got a load of mates who have really, really nice bikes, but they are useless when it comes to like...
I hope your friends aren't watching this, because you just
I hope
call
they
them
are.
all
They'll
useless.
Be fine. They are. Honest, some of them are so... It's comedically... It's just ridiculous, like how bad some of them are when it comes to maintenance, and how bad some of them are when it comes to like disassembling their bikes.
Do they not watch?
You can lead a horse to water, but there you go. But when travelling with really nice bikes, and this is something that I feel very strongly about, because we always see comments about people saying they're worried about their bike getting damaged in transit. I am not at all worried about a really nice carbon frame getting damaged if you use a really good hard case, like the pack
properly.
Yeah, like the Pack Go.
Yeah.
That I use. It's brilliant. And yeah, I've never had a carbon frame get damaged on a flight ever, and I've always used really good hard cases. So that is one thing I'm not worried about. But baggage can get lost, granted, so that can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
If your bike gets
going on a cycling holiday and your bike never turns up.
Yeah. Now,
a bit of a bummer.
In all the hundreds of flights I've caught with a bike, and it is in the hundreds. It's ridiculous, I think, over the years.
Rub it in, Ollie.
Well, no, I mean, it's just when we do it for work, we're very lucky, but it is a lot of flights. I've only ever had one bike go missing in all that time.
Good going, though.
Yeah, and there was a kind of a good reason for it, in that it wasn't a direct flight on that occasion, and the flight my first flight was severely delayed, so I missed the connection, and then that messed up the process of the luggage getting transferred to the next flight.
But you got your bike back pretty soon.
I got it back, yeah. It was all tracked in the luggage system, and I got it back. It wasn't lost, but I just, had a delay.
So overall, I think renting a bike can be much easier. It's less stressful, especially if you're not super confident with, packing your bike, flying with it and all that faff. And it's a great way for, you to go on holiday, treat yourself and try a bike that's a little bit better than yours. And I think it's especially good if you aren't super serious about your training, which most people aren't.
Yeah, I think that's, great. And like, there isn't, you can't say that renting a bike is better or worse than taking your own.
No.
They're very different things, but hopefully through us talking about this, you can decide which is the thing that you'd rather do.
As long as you're going out and riding your bike.
Yeah, just having a good time.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments though, what you would prefer to do. Hire a bike or travel with your own.
It's now time for Hot and Spicy Tech. What have we got coming up first, Ollie?
Well, do it like you did last week.
No, because you just made fun of me for doing it like that.
Yeah, but
you made fun of me having too much fun.
Alex did a good job of it, and then Manon did a good job of it, so it's your turn now.
Yeah?
Go on then.
I'm going to do it like what you did it.
Well, no, because that's just mocking me.
You went, time for Hot and Spicy Tech. It was the little laugh you did at the end. Incredible.
It's time for Hot and Spicy Tech.
Well, anyway, right, first up this week, we've got competition.
Are we leaving that in?
Yeah, that's where we're going in. Anyway, right, we've got competition to win one of 5 sets of Gore Endure Gore-Tex jacket and transition bib shorts.
Cool.
Yeah, it's completely free. There's a link in the description down below. It's completely free to enter. You just have to go and click on the link and fill in your stuff. Ignore all the fake people doing fake competitions. That's not us. There's a link in the description. Anyway, there are some terms and conditions we need to read out though.
I'd love to hear about those, Ollie.
Yeah. So the competition, unfortunately, is only open to those residing in the following territories: Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, United Kingdom, that includes Wales, United States, Switzerland, Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden. So
I can't believe you just read all those out.
Sorry.
I probably lost half the viewers there.
Sorry, Zimbabwe. Hopefully you're in the next one. Anyway, there you go. Competition, check it out. It's free to enter. Win some cool shorts and a jacket.
New bike alert!
What was that?
I don't know. Okay, new bike alert. Last week you might have heard me and Alex chatting about Matej Mohoric's new Merida that he was on. Well, they actually unveiled it as a new bike, which is great timing actually, isn't it?
Yeah, by good work by Merida, worked a treat. So it's the new Silex. Now Silex, it's been around since 2018. It was the first time it was introduced by Merida. It's their gravel bike. It's got much more relaxed geometry than their other sort of gravel bike they have in their range, which is a gravel version of the Sculptura race bike. Mm-hmm. And also it's the way they describe it's pretty interesting. So it's more mountain bike geometry transferred onto a drop bar bike.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it got like a longer fork and a much shorter head tube, and it's got a much longer wheelbase than that Sculptura gravel version. And that's apparently one of the reasons why Matej Mohoric chose to use that particular bike rather than the Sculptura gravel one, because of that longer wheelbase and mountain bike geometry. Apparently he finds it much more stable handling off-road, which it clearly works for him.
Well, it did, yeah, and it is, especially gravel wheels, it's just a mix of cyclocross, gravel, road, mountain bike, just into one. But it's definitely, this is a bike that's definitely a lot more gravel than it is road. As you know, gravel bikes tend to sort of work across that spectrum. This one is more skewed towards the off-road stuff. But it's, another cool thing is it's not just an out-and-out gravel race bike. That's a trend we've seen, isn't it? With things like the, certain gravel bikes, a bit like, the Pinarello Greville is very sort of racy focused. This one has all the mounts on it and stuff for all your mud guards or your adventures and in your bags and your paraphernalia on there. So, cool to see. And it is available in aluminium and carbon. And according to Merida, they both share the same carbon fork, but the aluminium frame is 680 grams heavier than the carbon one. And they also, this is another cool feature, they have the disc brake cooler on there as well. Very cool. Moving on to the Shimano crank update, and a proposed class action lawsuit has been filed against Shimano, Specialized and Trek in the USA after the massive Holotech crankset recall.
Well, this is potentially big news, and it's interesting that Specialized and Trek are potentially being drawn into this as well. So the lawsuit alleges that the crank recall, as it currently is inadequate, and they're saying that by not recalling all cranksets, which they're not. So for those who are unfamiliar, even all cranksets are potentially affected, but they're not recalling them unless they're damaged and they've defected, and then you can get a replacement one for it, and you have to present your damaged crankset. They're saying that, and this is a quote from it, that Shimano is working hard to limit the cost of fixing the issue at the expense of consumers. And they're accusing Trek and Specialized of knowingly and intentionally misrepresenting, omitting, concealing, and or failing to disclose material facts regarding the quality, reliability, and safety of the cranksets. And then it then says that there's further problems with this, which is, I think, a fair point to make, in that what you're then doing is, if you've got a crankset that hasn't, come apart and delaminated, that you're then taking that to a bike shop to get a job done on your bike, you're potentially asking bike mechanics to inspect it and perform like an important engineering determination of judging whether that crankset is sound or not. But bike shops cannot be expected to have the relevant equipment to accurately and properly determine that. So in doing so, you're potentially making bike shop people and mechanics liable for saying that this is okay to ride, and then someone rides it and it breaks.
That's true.
Apparently there's been 6 people who've had injuries as a result of cranksets failing. Yeah, so it's saying that it's potentially putting the legal liability onto those mechanics, which wouldn't be good. So, I guess we'll just have to watch this space and see what comes of that. Yeah. But rest assured, with any further updates that come with this story, we'll keep it locked and loaded here, and we'll tell you.
And finally, in Hot Tech, we have a World Hour update on the female side, and the record has been broken once again, and it has gone over the 50-kilometre mark for the very first time, and it is broken by the Italian rider Vittoria Buzzi.
Yeah, well, she's reclaimed her hour record that she previously lost. I think before it was 47 she did, so big improvement.
Back in 2018, was it?
There's hope for me yet.
Still time, Ollie.
We always get comments saying I should redo it again, and I'm just like, oh God. So,
would you go through it again?
I don't think I haven't got over it. The traumatic experience. They're horrendous. So fair play to Vittoria for absolutely smashing her record. She did it at the velodrome in Mexico, high altitude one.
Aguascalientes.
Say it fast and it's fine.
No one noticed.
Some cool tech though on show. So this is cool. She used the Hope Lotus bike.
Yeah, that's the same one as the British Cycling.
But yeah, it's kind of like the
team
first
use.
time we've sort of seen someone using it outside of British
Yeah.
Cycling. Because you can technically buy it, if you remember our video on,
Yeah.
you know, it's one of the rules, the UCI rules, you have to be able to buy it. So there's someone who's bought it and is using it who's not on British Cycling.
I wonder how much that was.
I know, yeah. Yeah.
That would be spenny.
That's a lot of paper rounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, save up for that.
Years.
But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a monster chainring on it.
Huge.
Which I couldn't see what size that was in the posts, and I didn't zoom in and count all the teeth, but it looks like it's over 60.
Yeah, probably.
And it's also got a custom paint job, which is proper cool.
That's very
Because
nice.
the British Cycling ones are always just black.
Yeah.
This one had her own custom paint job
Got
on.
one better.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's got a custom drag to zero cockpit on there as well, which is different from the sort of additive manufacturing ones that British Cycling tend to use. But yeah, proper nice looking bike, isn't it?
More hot tech next week.
Thanks, Manon.
It's okay, Ollie.
Can you show me how to do a good jingle? You're really good at them.
Ollie, it just comes from deep within. So
Go on
you
then.
just have to, no,
You're Welsh.
No.
Voice of an angel.
no, Catherine Jenkins.
Yeah, but the Welsh people, it's a very melodic.
Says that Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I don't,
Come on, Ollie.
No, I'm rubbish.
The people are going to sack you from the GCN Tech if you don't do a jingle.
How are they going to do that?
They'll say in the comments,
We wanted Manon to do the jingle.
no, we want Ollie to do a jingle.
Comments of the week.
So boring.
Right. What's the first one?
It's hard work sometimes, Ollie. Right. First one is in, and it was under last week's show, and this is from Adam McGroves, I think.
Yeah.
6473. Gravel stuff is the perfect blend between the mountain bike world and the road world. Do we need it? No. Do I want all of it? Absolutely.
Yeah. Just go out and have fun on your bike.
Yeah. Next one is in from Likey.
Likely biking.
Yep. I think gravel components are amazing for even non-race road racing riders. Better range, more comfortable, easy to walk in.
Yeah.
I guess you're talking about the shoes there.
Just going out and enjoying. It's just about fun, isn't it? That's
about
the great thing
getting
about
out,
gravel. It's
riding your
about-
bike.
Yeah. The aero helmets. Well, the helmets vid we did on the advantages and disadvantages of an aero helmet versus a more vented one. We got a comment here from Brian New, who said he lives in tropical Malaysia. And he says that a lightweight, well-ventilated helmet is a must out there because of the heat. And he said he owned an entry-level Abus Makator helmet. And he said it was so warm and unbearable to ride during the noon, he changed it to a better ventilated one. I think that's a good point. Yeah, if you live somewhere really hot, that's sort of what you need.
It's nice to feel the wind in your hair sometimes as well.
Yeah. Simon Goes Sideways said that on the same video about the two helmets, he said, I thought you were going to test which one was faster. We all know you get hotter with less vents. Come on, guys. We did. If you watch the video, that is in there. We speak about the sort of aero penalty, and it's not maybe as much as what you might think, although it is significant if you're, racing and stuff. But, it's over the course of a ride in the heat, it could really make a bigger difference the other way.
Yeah. Next, and how not to destroy your bike when travelling. As Skip Walker says, an AirTag or some other tracker on the bike. If it goes MIA in transit, you might have a chance of locating it. And I know a lot of people who have been putting AirTags in their bike box.
Yeah,
so
this is a great idea. And that's why we wanted to put the comment in. It's it works.
And people have been sitting on the plane and seeing that their bike isn't on the plane, and then they can tell the staff, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we should probably get that."
Yeah, it's one of my friends actually did it when we flew back from Mallorca.
One of your useless friends, or
no, this one knows how to pack his bike. But he was giving me some great chat as we were waiting for our plane. It was riveting. He was just going, I can see where my bike is now. It's gone into the luggage holding area of the airport. You can see where that is. And he was showing me on Google Maps. And he goes, oh, it's moving again. It's moving again. And then it was moving out onto the runway. He was, oh, riveting.
Great chat.
Is that that all the comments?
Yeah.
That's all the comments for this week. Thanks for coming.
Right, time now for last part of the show, Bike Vault. It's been quite a long show. Should we make a quick fire Bike Vault?
Go on then.
Right, first up, most super nice bike from last week was this from Care LC in the GCN app. It's a Velo S5. Manon, what are you saying?
Well, I don't think I need to say anything because I feel like you've got quite a lot to say about this.
That's not a super nice. It is potentially a super nice bike, but it's got no pedals on it. And it's been propped up by a watering can, and it's just got a really messy background. It's just not presented in its best light, and that is a really nice bike that deserves better.
Well, the GCN Tech
You're
viewers...
all wrong. Rubbish. Right, next one. Jamie76. This one, he's gone, sorry about the lack of Biggie Smalls or valves being lined up. It's a whip. It's a Cannondale. It's old Seiko one.
It is quite
I had
a
one
whip,
of
to be
those.
fair.
It is, but I mean, come on. If you're aware of your failings, why are you pointing them out?
You scare me in the Bike Vault.
Unbelievable.
Going hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is a fantastic bike. It's one of the old, made in the USA, aluminium Cannondales in the classic Seiko team colours. And look at it. Look at it.
What?
Look at it. Look how it's presented. Rubbish. Cropped off all over the shop. Just, rubbish. Rubbish.
I don't think we'll be needing the bell today.
Luco, 9,000. Right. He's got a Ribble Titan Endurace. Oh, for God's sake. Look at the state of this one. What is going on there?
I honestly don't need to say anything this week.
Well, like, it's
yeah,
just...
I get this one. I don't know if my screen's really low, but the lighting's off.
Yeah.
I mean, it is...
Can't see it.
It's an interesting background.
I'm sure it's great, but you can't see it, and it's wonky, and it's up against a horrible... Oh, it's rubbish. Absolute... Next one.
Do you wake up on the wrong side of the bed?
It says his bike's called Bumblebee. It's a Boardman CXR 8.9 with SRAM Rival on it.
Oh, we might be onto something here, Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, that's looking good, isn't it?
And do we have a potential shadow stand in use here?
There's some... Well, I can't...
Or has it been edited out?
There's something. I mean, either way, that's good.
Are we going to let the Biggie Smalls slide at this occasion?
Well, I think with it being one by, you can. Because
Yeah.
it gets, with one by bikes, as we mentioned before, it gets the rear mech into an attractive position when it's halfway up the cassette like that. So, I think we can... It's all right.
Quick fire,
I was worried
Ollie.
we were
Quick
gonna...
fire, Ollie.
Right, next up.
Tom Link.
Orbea Orca M30i.
Oh, this is nice.
That is good, isn't it?
I do like the Orbea detail and the handlebar tape on this. Very nice.
It is good, but that rear mech is no. Nice. Next one, Lord Elan. No, next up, Wasp. With a Lord Elan.
Okay, well, this is looking good. Tan sidewalls, Biggie Smalls.
I'm just intrigued that this guy's called Wasp, and he's got Wasp written on his bike.
Yeah, but that's his name, isn't it?
I know, it's a cool name, isn't it?
Wasp.
Just buzzing around, stinging people.
What?
Being a nuisance. Bothering people with ice creams. Which he probably is, because he's down by the beach by the look of things.
Yeah, this looks stunning. I don't know where it is. Doesn't say.
Near the Hive. I don't know. But it's a cool bike, but I can't really see what's going on very well next to that bush. It's a bit underexposed, isn't it? I can't really see the detail. It's not...
I don't think you didn't need to worry too much about the exposure.
Well, no, it's just because it's you want to... The whole point is you're presenting your bike. You don't need to have the nicest, most fancy, most expensive bike, but it's your pride and joy, and you've got to showcase it in a way that's just beautiful, and that is not. I mean, it's the drain is more visible than the bike in that picture.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Nice.
Nice.
Was that it?
That was the last one.
That was
a
rubbish this week, wasn't it? Must try harder.
Well, we did have one Supernice.
We did, yeah. Oh, God, that's crap. I mean, we had one Supernice, and it was passable. It wasn't a super nice.
Okay, well, hopefully we'll be back next week with better bike vaults.
Yeah, I hope so. See you next week.